I'm a person who barely had to lift a finger to get to school because I have really strict parents. I'd get ready, step outside, service, boom, I'm at school. Y'all can expect that I didn't have any problems with weirdos on the street, kidnapped, or gotten into any accidents because there just isn't enough time and chances for any of that to happen. My mom pretty much knew that I would have gone through all of the above and she wasn't about to take any chances. She looks portable enough to be thrown into a van, my mom said. Into the service you go. If that sounds a tad bit overprotective, just know that for a downtown kid, her paranoia was pretty reasonable, and it gave me easy transpo, so I never complained. But I don't get bragging rights anymore since I looked less abductable, and we're gonna talk about that. I developed this habit of sharing my umbrella with random people because why not? Which sounds like the kind of thing stranger danger victims say before getting stranger dangered, but I didn't mind. Maybe this is why my mom took so long to trust me on my own. I got the hang of straight up walking beside someone, obviously offering some space under my umbrella before they think I'm robbing them, and parting ways when I think either of us are going different directions. And so far, all of them seem pretty fine with this stranger offering them some protection from the rain in exchange for personal space, which may or may not be concerning. But there was this one particular rainy afternoon where I was walking to a pedestrian crossing and I see this girl who was straight up drenched in rain, head to toe, and didn't really seem to mind, which looked aesthetic but very uncomfortable. Being the person that I am, I chose to get close and do the usual routine, but I was pretty intimidated by her unbothered energy that I couldn't really nudge my hand all the way there, so she still got some rain on her shoulder. But then, the cross light turned green, and suddenly she walked so fast and so far in such a short time that it should probably be considered sprinting at this point, because by the time I actually got to the other side, I couldn't even see her anymore. And for context, the road was a little flooded, and to walk that quickly in the rain without slipping is commendable, to be honest. Also, I definitely miscalculated on my part because I probably didn't look as harmless as I thought I did. Either that, or she just didn't want a stranger getting too close to her radar, which is pretty fair honestly. So why am I going through so much detail on this particular situation? Because this entire interaction is such a great example of what I should be doing. She barely looked at my direction, didn't even see if perhaps I was someone she knew, and still did what any sane person should do when someone suddenly offers you something nice enough to look suspicious, which is to just say no or walk away entirely. A good contrast to whatever I had going on, and definitely someone worth making an example of, unlike a certain someone. I never learned my lesson, by the way. I still do this to this day, and I'm surprised I didn't get robbed or anything. It's either I'm in a very safe place or I'm just good at picking people who wouldn't stab me. Sometimes I do bring my smaller umbrella because it's lighter, but it can barely keep me dry from the rain, so I can't really share it, which should have always been the case, to be honest. This other time, I was walking home from school and I happened to be heading to the same direction with my 3 other classmates. We had a pretty okay chat and soon they needed to cross the road. Now at that moment, I had what I believed to be a bright idea. Before they could even step foot onto the pedestrian lane, I grabbed one of their backpacks, and before I could even say anything, a motorcycle swiftly passed so fast and so close that I swear their hair flew to the side, and they were one step away from being roadkilled right in front of me. At that moment, their lives flashed before my eyes, which was a weird thing to say coming from a person who knew them for less than a year. Then all the other vehicles drove past by us too, and that was when we truly understood that they were on green light. Then they collectively turned to me, and I knew I had to say something, and fast. You see, what I was doing was stopping them from leaving because I thought it'd be funny if I went, "Lol, now you can't cross the road." But looking back at it after a couple of seconds, yeah, that was really, really dumb. Why did I think to pull this trick on a pedestrian lane of all places? Where incidents happen on a daily? For all I know, I could have been the cause of their deaths if things went differently. Also, I'm no road expert by any means, but if I were a motorcycle driver and I saw some people headed to the pedestrian lane, I would assume that they did that to cross it. But nope, this guy just cuts in quick, without even a honk or a beep, by the way, which was an attitude that I have had the fortune of not encountering up until that day. So what did I actually say to my unsuspecting classmates? The pedestrian light switched to stop. I know it's not truthful, like at all, but I had to say something to save myself the humiliation, and I was not ready to hear my genius plan outside of my own conscience and in front of potential victims, okay? Also, I really hope they didn't check up on the busted cross red lights ahead because that would have really given away that I didn't know what I was doing. I never told them the truth, and to be honest, I'm kinda glad I even tried something like that because imagine what would have happened if I never pulled that backpack at that specific time. Yeah, no doubt I would have seen my classmates and some driver flying before my very eyes.